Welcome to Word of Mouth, the talking newsletter focused on putting buzz into the small to mid-sized business. Good sales techniques are something that every business has to constantly sharpen. Word of Mouth recently caught up with noted sales trainer Melissa Whitaker and talked with her about a topic that many people are aware of, but few only do: setting goals. Melissa, welcome to Word of Mouth. Melissa, sales is all about achieving goals. But do most salespeople set their own goals?
Unfortunately not. Studies show that 65% of people do not set goals. That might be shocking to most people, but it's a very large number. But the next study that they also show is 32% of people do set goals, but they say that most people say, oh, you know what, I've got it in my head. I don't really have a plan of how I'm going to get there, but I have ideas of what I'd like to accomplish. And then the third statistic that is even more shocking, I guess, is that only leaves us with 3% of people who set goals and also write them down. That's a key thing. They write them down and they have a plan. So if you're looking at that, 35% of people are really the only ones really even starting to have goals, but only 3% write them down and have a plan.
So a small percentage set goals, but why is it so important to set goals?
Well, studies show that people who set specific goals in their life reach much higher levels of success than others that don't. So to relate it back to the last question, there's only 3% of people who actually write them down and have a plan. So it should be no surprise to people that those 3% of people have the highest, most successful track record.
Melissa, are there success factors in goal setting?
Absolutely. There's 11 key steps that I tell people that they should be considering and implementing when they're setting goals. The first one, number one, is just to set goals to begin with. Set goals. Most people have no idea what they want in their life or where they're going. I'm sure you've heard the saying, if you do not know where you're going, you usually end up somewhere else. When I first read that or came across that, I kind of started chuckling. It's pretty true. In this day in life, we have so many people who are so frustrated, maybe even with this economy, of their status of where they're at in life. But the reality is they might not even know where they really would rather be. So number one is setting goals. Be clear on what you want. The second one is be specific. An example of this would be instead of saying, I would like to buy a new house, be specific on what you want. I would like a house with brick on the outside, or I would like a house with 2,000 square feet, or some people say 3,000 square feet. I'd like this many bathrooms, I'd like this many bedrooms, and so on and so on. Another example that a lot of people will come across most often is people will say, oh, they set New Year's resolutions and say, I want to lose weight. But they really don't define that. So you need to be more specific. I would like to lose 15 pounds, by a certain time frame or something. So you need to be specific on how much exactly do you want to lose. So number two, be specific. Number three, which tailors right into that, is determine your time frame. If you have a time frame, like let's say you want to lose that 15 pounds, when do you want to lose it by? Within 6 months. You have to make sure you have a time frame so that you can then move into the next step, which is number 4, called measuring progress. You can't measure your progress if you, number 1, haven't set the goal, number 2, weren't specific in your goal, and then number 3, you didn't have a time frame to gauge. So number 4 is measure progress. You can start tracking it along that time frame. Am I moving towards my goal? Am I status quo? Nothing's happening? If you see that you're not moving in your goal according to the time frame to get it done by that time frame, then you need to make some tweaks along the way to make that happen. Number 5, make it achievable. I always tell people, shoot for the stars, you'll fall somewhere in between. But the reality is you want to stretch yourself when you're setting goals, but you still need to make sure they're realistic, that they're achievable. You want to set yourself up for success, not a failure or a disappointment. So stretch yourself, but make it achievable. Number 6, Know the why. This is one area I think a lot of people don't think of. But what happens is, if some people have heard of the different Tony Robbins of the world, Tony Robbins and many others have said, it's human behavior or human nature that we move towards or gravitate towards things that give us pleasure, and we avoid things that gives us pain. And, what happens is when we don't accomplish a goal is because typically we just don't even have a big enough why. Why do we want to accomplish that goal? An example of this would be the show called The Biggest Loser on TV. I'm not a big fan of the name of the show, but I love the concept of the show. And that's where people in this case have come to a place in their life where they associate more pleasure with the end result of what they're going to accomplish than the pain of the process. So what ends up happening is ultimately they're more successful. And that would be in comparison to some people, let's say, set New Year's resolutions and say they want to lose weight or something. But what happens is they start going to the gym, they start associating more pain with the process than the pleasure of the outcome, and they ultimately stop. So you need to make sure your why is big enough. Why do you want to accomplish what you want to accomplish? And the ones that have the biggest whys are the ones you'll find typically you succeed more at. Number 7, put goals in writing. Remember that 3% of people only write things down, their goals down, but they're the top percentage of people who are successful in their life, who accomplish more in their life. And, you want to be part of that 3%. Because what happens is when you write them down, your subconscious kind of takes over. And you'll be amazed that people will come into your life or things will happen in your life that you did not expect, could not have foreseen, but ironically are moving you towards your goals of what you want to accomplish. Number 8 is have a plan. Unfortunately, life happens so fast today that most people just wing it. And, unfortunately, one of the top 2 reasons why salespeople fail is because they wing it. So, take 15 minutes here or there. I know everyone's really swamped and busy and schedules get crazy, but if you just take 15 minutes here and there, maybe once a week or every other day to plan your goals or to revisit your goals, you'll find that you'll not only start seeing possible obstacles that you can avoid or you can handle ahead of time, but you'll also see those opportunities where you can accomplish your goals faster. Number 9, have a positive attitude. It matters. It matters. I guarantee you that in life, most people who are successful tend to also have a charismatic, positive attitude. So kind of open your eyes. Take a look at that. See what you see and if that resonates or that you see the same results that I have seen. And the reality is in life, we typically, there is that level of energy and attraction, and a lot of people have talked about this, but if you have a positive attitude, it's how funny you attract positive behavior. So it becomes really vital. And number 10, take action. Obviously, you've heard this before, but a good idea with no implementation is considered just a wish. So if you want to see some results, you have to take action. And I typically find that people who won't take the first step obviously aren't going to make it to the next step. So if you just get started, you'd be amazed how things happen quicker. And 11, last but not least, visualize the outcome. If you talk to a lot of Olympic athletes, you'll find that most of them will visualize watching themselves or seeing themselves accomplish what their goals are, maybe the time or how fast they accomplish something or the way that they perform or the way they do something. They visualize themselves doing it, and ultimately it becomes a reality. So if you implement those key 11 steps, you will fall right in the category of those 3% of people who have goals, write them down, and ultimately are the most successful people in life.
Thank you, Melissa, for your insight and joining us on Word of Mouth. To continue the conversation about goal setting with Melissa Whitaker, contact her via the information on your screen. And thank you for clicking on Word of Mouth. This is Rich Steelman. Word of Mouth is a courtesy production of eMotion Marketing, the answer to why you